Let's talk about 2020 vision. What's going to be happening? An interesting story that we saw was talking about the mission to blow up the 2020 Democratic field. Well, call it that if you want, but they're looking at things, ways to sort of take apart the candidacy of some Democrats who are thinking about running, even though no one has yet declared formally that he or she will be running. Alexandra Smith is joining us, Executive Director of America Rising. We're going to talk a little bit about this. She's tweeting at Alexandra C. Smith. Alex, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Actually, welcome back. I guess it was CPAC maybe the last time we caught up. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this. Who are you looking at as possible candidates for the Democrats in 2020?
The field is so expansive. It's ranging from more established candidates, current senators like Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, but we're also looking at CEOs like Howard Schultz, who are potentially throwing their hat into the ring. We know that just so many people are looking to run on the Democratic side, so we definitely have a lot of ground to cover.
I'm kind of curious, in a way, I was remembering when Senator Mitch McConnell had Senator Elizabeth Warren removed from the floor because she made a personal remark, and some people, said, look at how terrible it is. But some people thought, well, maybe in the background, he's trying to actually get Elizabeth Warren to run for president because he thinks that she'd be an easy candidate to defeat. What are you looking at when you're looking at some of these Democrats?
I think, with the Democratic field right now, what we're primarily looking at is this race to the left that we're seeing in their positions that they're adopting, because there's a rather homogenous crowd that's seeking the presidency on the Democratic side. And so they're trying to sort of distinguish themselves through, taking increasingly far left positions. And so someone like Elizabeth Warren, we're looking at her sort of moving the entire field to the left. I agree with you. I think that she would be a great candidate for us in 2020 just because her views are so outside the mainstream of where the rest of the country is. But look at someone like Kirsten Gillibrand, senator from New York. This week already, she's calling to abolish ICE, and she's calling for abolishing ICE. And I think that that's an extreme position that most Americans wouldn't support, but it's just another way that she's looking to rally that progressive base, particularly as someone who used to be considered a blue dog Democrat in Congress. She's looking to show them her progressive bona fides and say, I'm actually one of you, and I want to energize the same base that Senator Bernie Sanders was able to animate in 2016.
Interesting point you bring up, because I remember when she was being touted as a possible replacement for Hillary Clinton after Hillary Clinton became the Secretary of State. Some Democrats said, "Oh, she's not enough of a Democrat. She's too conservative to be representative from New York." Alex Smith with us, Executive Director of America Rising. And by the way, this is something that both parties do, and it's kind of interesting to see the tactics and the strategy moving forward here to see exactly how this is going to unfold. I wanted to go to a quote in Politico that you made, Alex, which is, they can't really coalesce around any message or leader without alienating a significant element of their base or their donors. So is this a problem? Are you going after candidates, or are you going after message, or both?
We're going after both. I think especially in the 2018 midterms, which we're looking at, and which is playing a role in some of these 2020 contenders' movements right now, because some of them are attempting to kind of use the midterms as a way of sort of staking out their positions and making a name for themselves, whether it's through endorsements or taking positions that are very uncomfortable for our red state Democratic senators who are looking to hold on to their seats this time around. So we're looking at the message and also just their inability to sort of to coalesce around one leader or one message. I think that you can look no further than the Democratic Party's attempt to rebrand even just this past week. They came out with a better deal in the fall. That was sort of a flop. They tried to put out a new message last week, to not much fanfare. I think that, what they're trying to do is to give candidates just something to run on. But really what these plans end up being is kind of a recycled version of Hillary Clinton's 2016 platform when she was running for president. And that's not terribly exciting to a lot of the candidates, whether it's progressives out there who are looking to move the party to the left, or to Democrats running in more moderate districts who are looking to show that they're not, that they're a little bit different from the rest of the party.
Alex Smith with us, Executive Director of America Rising. Alex, is there anybody in the sort of wild card mode? You mentioned Howard Schultz from Starbucks, who may be considering a run for the presidency. We've heard Oprah Winfrey, and that's the kind of wild card that would be very Donald Trump-like compared to 2016. Anything you're looking at along those lines?
Sure. I think the potential CEOs that are presenting themselves as contenders is incredibly interesting, because we know that some of these CEOs are getting increasingly political on the Democratic or on the left, and I think that after the 2016 election, we would be remiss in not considering unconventional candidates if we're truly doing a wide sweep of any potential contenders for the nomination. And so I think that, we're really looking at any of these people that's sort of making moves, that's, sort of speaking in a way that might suggest that they're thinking about this. Partially because of what happened in 2016 and how the president was able to upend the entire Republican field as an outsider candidate.
We're going to see how this unfolds. Last question I have is Joe Biden. Are you looking at him too?
Absolutely. I mean, someone like Joe Biden is thinking about running. He has a more established record, so he's more of a traditional candidate that we would be looking at in terms of opposition research, a lengthy voting record, a history of public statements, and we know that some of them were pretty colorful. So he's someone that we would be looking at, and there would be a lot to find. A candidate like, a CEO candidate like Howard Schultz, that presents a new challenge for us as an opposition research firm, just because, he's not someone that has that traditional record. But I think that really speaks to the depth of America Rising's capabilities as a research organization, the fact that we can have this team that can come up with creative and interesting ways to research the traditional and non-traditional candidates.
Alex Smith, I appreciate you joining us. Thanks for being on.
Thanks so much for having me.